Jasper, the invisible member of a rich family. My specialty? Looking harmless and staying out of trouble. My older brother, Landon, a top-tier alpha and a business genius. Too bad, he's in an alpha-alpha relationship, locked in a love or hate battle with his lawyer rival, neither willing to surrender. My younger brother, Brooks, a gorgeous omega, practically born to turn heads. Too bad, he's in an omega-omega relationship with his macho bodyguard, determined to prove omegas don't have to pair with alphas. And then there's me, a totally average, hard-to-get pregnant beta. In this family, my main job is basically being background decoration and comic relief. Our dad, a billionaire with assets in the tens of billions, finally started to panic as his heirs kept marching down the path of no descendants ever. So he called a family meeting, slammed the table, and declared, 1 year. You have 1 year. Whichever one of you gives me a grandchild first will inherit everything. Whoever fails, get out of my house. The living room went dead silent for 3 seconds. My brother Landon scoffed, ridiculous. My brother Brooks' eyes filled with tears. Daddy. I looked down at my phone, scrolling aimlessly, completely unfazed. Whatever. None of us can have kids anyway. If everyone fails, nobody's guilty, that's our family motto. But Dad proved the saying right, never underestimate the old man. The next day, both the financial and social news headlines exploded. Shocking. Billionaire Forrest has 108 secret children overseas. Official heirs in jeopardy. The photos showed Dad posing with different women and kids, a perfect 3x3 collage that could fill an entire army division. My glass of milk slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. Landon crushed his coffee cup, his alpha pheromones so strong the crystal chandeliers started shaking. Brooks burst into tears. Daddy doesn't want us anymore. We were doomed, completely doomed. 108 illegitimate kids. That's not an inheritance problem, that's a full-scale invasion. The 3 of US official heirs turned useless trash. How could we possibly compete? Panic hit me like a bucket of ice water. Landon and Brooks were hopeless. Their true loves couldn't exactly perform biological miracles. If I wanted to survive, I had to rely on myself. Me, Jasper, a beta with a fertility rate lower than a miracle, I needed to get pregnant within a year. That's about as likely as walking to the moon with bare hands. But I had to try, or I'd be kicked out for sure. The only chance I had was to find a legendary top-tier alpha, one so genetically powerful that even a beta might have a 1 in 10,000 shot. And among all the people I knew, there was only one who fit that description. I grabbed my car keys, floored the gas, and headed straight for my only hope, my uncle, Austin. Austin, age 28, top-tier alpha, tech industry rising star. Not my grandfather's biological son, he was the orphan of grandfather's old comrade, adopted when he was little. He's only 6 years older than me. Since I was basically invisible at home, I grew up mostly at Grandpa's house, sharing the same bed, following in Austin's footsteps since we were kids. I burst into his study like a gust of wind. He was behind his desk, working, gold-rimmed glasses resting on his nose, his profile sharp and calm. Uncle Austin, help me. I ran up to his desk, panting. He looked up, eyes cool and steady behind the lenses. What happened? I shoved my phone under his nose, voice trembling with desperation. Look, 108. My dad has 108 illegitimate kids out there. He's going to kick me out. He glanced at the screen and gave a soft No visible reaction. Uncle Austin. I pressed my palms together, looking at him with my most pitiful expression. You know everyone. Please, help me find a powerful alpha, someone generous, someone willing to help me out. I'm begging you. I need to get pregnant now, or I'll end up broke and homeless. Dad said whichever one of us has a baby first gets the inheritance. The rest of us, out. Me, a beta, how am I supposed to have a baby in a year? He's clearly trying to get rid of me. Austin just looked at me quietly. The only sound left in the room was my own ragged breathing. After a few seconds, he finally moved. Slowly, he took off his glasses, placed them gently on the desk. A soft click. Then he lifted his gaze, eyes deep and unreadable. Why look for someone else? His voice was low, calm, and carried a quiet authority. I froze. My brain couldn't even process what he just said. Then he leaned forward, closing the distance between us. I could smell his clean cedar scent, cool and intoxicating. He looked straight into my eyes, speaking each word clearly. Your uncle can help you. Once will be enough. I turned to stone. Every drop of blood rushed to my face. It was burning hot. What did he just say? What did he mean by once will be enough? Did he mean what I think he meant? Uncle, you. I stammered, my tongue tripping over itself. He looked at me, that faint, barely there smile flickering in his eyes. And something else, deeper, something I couldn't name. He didn't come closer, didn't back away, just watched me, as if fascinated by my rare display of panic. The air froze around us. The cedar scent wrapped around, thick and silent, heavy with unspoken tension. After what felt like a century, he finally sighed, so soft it brushed past like a feather. If once isn't enough, he murmured, we can try a few more times. 3. I was stunned. My brain buzzed, my voice shaking. Uncle, are you serious? He looked at me, calm and steady. Do I look like I'm joking? No, my uncle never jokes. But this was insane. How could anyone say something like that so casually? But you're my uncle, I stammered. He cut me off smoothly. Legally, we're not related. I have my own household registration. No blood ties. I opened my mouth again. But people will talk. Scared? He raised an eyebrow. That tone. Was he challenging me? No. I blurted out immediately. Then what is it? He pressed, his voice dropping low. My words caught in my throat. My face was hot, my heart racing. He stood up and walked toward me. Tall, his shadow fell over me like a wall. I backed up instinctively until my shoulders hit the bookshelf. Nowhere left to run. He reached out, picked up my phone. His fingers brushed mine, just a tiny touch, but it felt like electricity. Step 1, he said, handing the phone back. Go home and bring your ID. My eyes widened. My ID? What for? Marriage. He said it so calmly, like he was talking about the weather. I froze. And marriage? Already? He nodded. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Civil Affairs Office. Why do we have to get married? I asked, totally lost. He leaned in, the scent of cedar filling the air between us. So the baby will have a legal father, he said softly, his breath brushing my ear. Then he paused. Or, his tone dropped even lower. Would you rather have a child out of wedlock? Boom. Every thought in my head exploded. Out of wedlock. My whole body went up in flames. I could barely speak. He straightened up again, expression calm and distant. Go, he said simply. I'll wait for you. I ran out of his study like I was escaping a crime scene. Didn't dare look back. My heart was pounding so loud it hurt. My mind was a complete mess. Did I just agree to something insane? No. Wait, I didn't agree, right? When did I agree? 4. The next morning, I was still tangled in my blankets, overthinking everything. Then my phone rang. It was him. Come downstairs, his voice said, firm, leaving no room to argue. Go where? I mumbled. My place. Short, direct. From now on, you'll live with me. That woke me up instantly. What? Live together? Isn't that too fast? He hung up. Just like that. 10 minutes later, I dragged myself downstairs. His car was parked outside. He was leaning against the door, in a black suit, gold-rimmed glasses, looking like sin in human form. God, he really was a top-tier alpha. Got your ID? His eyes flicked toward my bag. Why yeah, I answered weakly, like a student getting scolded by a teacher. He opened the car door. Get in. I didn't want to. Something felt off, like I'd forgotten something huge. Things weren't supposed to happen like this. I tried again. Uncle, you must know other strong alphas, right? Just introduce me to one. As long as I can get pregnant, we don't need to. I don't know any others, he interrupted. You're a beta. For you to conceive, that's not something just anyone can do. I'm only helping because we grew up together. If you don't want my help, I'll stop. Then he got into the car himself. My mind went completely blank. He rolled the window down halfway. Your dad's got 108 kids out there, lots of alphas and omegas. You sure you want to? Before he could finish, I jumped into the car myself. We didn't speak the whole ride. I spent the entire time nervously picking at my fingers. Was this cohabitation already? The car stopped in front of a brand new luxury complex. He said he'd just bought the place last night. Seriously, how rich is he? Couldn't he spend some of that money on me instead of more real estate? The apartment was huge, spotless, cold tones, just like him. He showed me to a room. This is yours. Unpack, he said, then disappeared into the master bedroom. I let out a long sigh of relief. At least he wasn't completely insane, still letting me have a separate room. I lay on the guest bed for a long time, rolling around, still unable to make sense of it all. My uncle, almost 30, never dated anyone. A top alpha, yet no omegas around him. Weird, right? Maybe he's got issues? Yeah, that must be it. That's why he never goes on blind dates, no matter how much grandpa nags him. So when he said he'd help me, he really just meant help, right? We grew up together, he's family, in a way. It's normal for him to lend a hand. Yeah, that must be it. After thinking too hard, I got thirsty. I got up to look for some water. As I passed by his room, I heard something strange. I noticed the door wasn't fully closed, just a small gap. I swear I didn't mean to look inside, but I did, and then I froze. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, shirt off, muscles tense, shoulders flexing with every breath. His breathing was heavy. My hand flew to my mouth. My face went up in flames. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then I saw what he was holding. My eyes went wide. That was not a water bottle, not even close. I stumbled back, bumping into a wall. The painting behind me clattered to the floor. Everything went dead silent. A few seconds later, the door opened. He stood there, shirt rumpled, eyes slightly red, gaze dark and intense as it locked on me. I froze like a thief caught red-handed. I was just looking for water, I squeaked. He didn't say a word, just walked closer, step by step. That clean cedar scent again, but now mixed with something warmer, heavier. I backed up until my spine hit the wall. Nowhere left to go. He lifted a hand and braced it beside my head, his shadow covering me completely. You saw? He asked, voice low and rough. 5. His tone was hoarse, thick with leftover tension. I shook my head frantically, then hesitated, then just shut my eyes like an ostrich. I'd been scared of him since I was a kid. He was too smart, too tall, too calm, and now too close. Jasper. He said my name, slow, deliberate, every syllable burning. You saw, he murmured near my ear. So you'll take responsibility. My eyes flew open. Our responsibility? For what? He smirked faintly. What do you think? I taught you to be a responsible man, didn't I? His gaze slid over me, and I couldn't breathe. Can't we just pretend I didn't see anything? I whispered, trembling. No. The answer came instantly. You saw it. You take responsibility. He leaned in, voice barely above a whisper, lips so close they brushed mine. Don't be the kind of man who runs away from what he starts. My mind went completely blank. Static. Nothing but the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. What on earth was I supposed to do now? After that day, I started avoiding Austin. Every time I saw him, that one sentence would echo in my head. You take responsibility. My face would burn, my heart would race, and I couldn't look him in the eye. He, on the other hand, was calm as ever, cooked for me, helped me with my paperwork, as if nothing had happened. I wanted to move back home, but Austin told me my father's illegitimate sons had taken over the place, and apparently, out of his 108 illegitimate sons, 100 were alphas. I, a poor beta, would probably get eaten alive if I went back. So, I had no choice but to keep living in Austin's high-rise apartment. Until that afternoon, I was sprawled on the couch, eating chips and watching TV, completely absorbed. Austin came over and sat beside me. The couch dipped slightly under his weight, and I froze instantly. Even the chips lost their flavor. Still avoiding me? He asked, turning to look at me. His gaze behind the glasses was sharp and dangerous. And no, I denied immediately, scooting away. He reached out, took the chip bag from my arms, and set it on the coffee table. Then he leaned in, voice low, talk about responsibility. My heart jumped into my throat. I panicked, tried to run. But he grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. The world spun. Suddenly I was on the couch, with him leaning over me, his shadow closing in, the scent of cedar surrounding me, dense and intoxicating. Oh Austin, don't. My hand pressed against his chest. It was burning hot. Say my name, he murmured, fingers brushing my wrist. Call me Austin. I bit my lip, refusing. He leaned down, our noses almost touching, his breath mingling with mine. No? His voice was soft. Then I'll just... Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Then came the sound of a key turning in the lock. We froze. I shoved him hard. Get up. Hurry. Austin frowned, clearly not expecting visitors either. Just as he started to stand. Jasper, Austin, we brought. My grandmother's cheerful voice stopped dead. 2 elders. 4 stunned eyes. All fixed on the couch, on us tangled together. My shirt half open, face flushed. Austin's collar tugged loose. A scene straight out of a scandal. Silence. My grandpa's birdcage fell with a clang. Grandma's thermos slipped from her hands, soup splattering across the floor. I shut my eyes. Please, just let me die. Right now. Austin reacted first. He pulled me up, shielding me with his body as he straightened his clothes. Dad. Mom. His voice was calm. What brings you here? Grandma pointed at us, trembling. You too. This is. Grandpa's face turned dark. His glare could have killed a man. Austin. He barked. what do you think you're doing to my grandson? Austin kept me behind him and said evenly, as you can see. He admitted it. We're building our relationship, he added. I wanted to vanish. Building a relationship? By pinning me to the couch? Grandpa's mustache practically quivered with rage. Building a relationship? You call that bullying him? 7. I don't know what Austin told my grandparents afterward, but they left without saying another word to me. After they were gone, I collapsed on the couch, completely soulless. Austin crouched to clean up the mess, calm and collected as ever. Scared? He asked without looking up. I stared blankly at him. Austin, we're doomed. Grandpa's definitely going to kill me. He won't touch you, you're a top alpha, but me? I'm just a useless beta. He set the broken thermos aside and looked at me. In their eyes, we should have been together a long time ago, he said. Why would they hit you? I blinked. What do you mean? He didn't explain, just stood and held out a hand. Come on, let's talk about the details of taking responsibility. I backed away cautiously. What more is there to talk about? Wasn't that enough? A faint smile tugged at his lips. That was just rehearsal. Now, it's time to discuss the real plan. He pulled me up, set me on the couch, and sat across from me like we were negotiating a deal. First, he began, starting today, you'll officially move into the master bedroom. What? No way. Reason? I need my own space. Private space, he said slowly, is not conducive to building emotional connection, or increasing the chances of conception. Besides, we've shared a bed since childhood. You should be used to it. There he went again. That's nonsense. I snapped, face burning. Second, he continued, ignoring my protest, you're coming to the company with me tomorrow. Why? To make a statement. He glanced at me. Some people need to know you're taken. I blinked. What people? He took out his phone, opened a photo. A picture from a business event, where a beautiful Omega was leaning toward him. Plenty of people want to get close to me, he said flatly. You'll come with me. End of story. For some reason, my chest tightened. Oh, so I'm just there to block admirers. Strangely, it made me a little disappointed. Third, he said, leaning forward, fulfilling partner duties. What duties? My voice trembled. He tilted my chin up with a finger. For example, he whispered, getting used to my closeness. My touch, learning to let your beta body adapt to me. My heart went wild. He was serious about this. I need time. I stammered, pushing him away. Then I bolted to the guest room, slammed the door, locked it, and slid down to the floor, clutching my chest. My heart pounded like a drum. Then I felt something hard in my pocket. Austin's ID card. It must have fallen out during the struggle. I stared at his cold, handsome photo on it. For some reason, I didn't give it back. Outside the door, his low voice came again, smooth and teasing. Fine, take your time. But remember, your father's 108 sons aren't standing still. I heard your older brother's looking for an Omega, your younger ones after a perfect Alpha. My stomach dropped. An Alpha and Omega could have kids easily, but a Beta like me, near impossible. A wave of panic clenched my heart. Even my brothers were making moves. What was I still hesitating for? Maybe, Austin was right. After all, he was my uncle. We grew up together. He wasn't a stranger. If he was helping me, just this once, maybe it was fine. That dangerous thought rooted deep, growing fast. Yes, just helping. For the inheritance. For survival. Austin was just helping me. I took a deep breath, made up my mind, and slowly unlocked the door. He was still there, as if waiting all along, calm and composed. Thought it through? He asked. I looked down, mumbling, He stepped closer. Didn't hear you. I forced myself to look up, my face burning. I said, okay, we'll do it your way. Thanks for helping me. A faint glint flashed in his eyes, too quick to catch. Good, he said, ruffling my hair naturally. Go change your clothes. Why? Taking you out. Where to? Shopping. You'll need your own things in the master bedroom. Anne. His gaze lingered meaningfully on my neck. You need to start getting used to my pheromones. Starting tonight. My cheeks flamed again. Getting used to his pheromones. That sounded way too suggestive. But this time, I didn't argue. I just went back to my room to change. Sitting in his car, I watched the scenery rush past the window, still in a daze. So that was it. I'd basically sold myself, hadn't I? Something felt off, terribly off. But I couldn't figure out what exactly. At a red light, Austin suddenly spoke. Scared? I shook my head, then nodded. A little. Scared of me? No, I blurted. Just, what if I can't get pregnant? My dad will throw me out. He chuckled softly as the light turned green. The car rolled forward smoothly. Don't worry. His eyes stayed on the road, his side profile calm and steady. As long as I'm here, you'll never be thrown out. I'm a top alpha. Even if you're a beta, I can still make it happen. His confidence was strangely comforting, like a warm, steady anchor in my storm of panic. I looked at his side profile, and the fear in my chest slowly melted into something else. A quiet, dangerous sort of dependence. Maybe this decision wasn't so bad after all. 9. Buying essentials turned me into a walking tomato. Austin, meanwhile, was calm as ever, like he was picking up office supplies. At checkout, he frowned slightly at the box in his hand. The size might not fit, he said matter-of-factly. We'll make do for now. I wanted to melt into the floor. That night, he pulled me into the master bedroom, and made me sleep beside him. We'd shared a bed before, countless times when I was little, but this time, something felt completely different. Back then, I used to cling to him like an octopus, arms and legs wrapped around him. But now, I didn't dare move an inch closer. The moment our skin touched, my whole body burned. I must have caught some strange disease. I scooted to the edge of the bed, trying to keep a safe distance, but he reached out effortlessly and pulled me back into his arms. My face hit his firm chest. It almost made my nose bleed. Pheromone adaptation, he said quietly, requires close contact. That cool cedar scent surrounded me, sharp and grounding, yet somehow, overpowering. I froze, afraid to move or breathe. My nose itched, but I didn't even dare scratch it. Back then, I could poke his nose, roll around, even steal his blanket. Now, I felt like one wrong move would set off fireworks under my skin. Relax, he murmured, eyes closed, one arm naturally draped around my waist. Sleep, and somehow, I did. Fell asleep right there in his arms, dreamless, peaceful. The next few days were oddly calm. He went to work. I stayed home, living my best lazy life. At night, we still shared a bed, but that was it, just sleeping. It got to the point I started to wonder, was helping me really just about sleeping? Because if it was, how on earth was I supposed to get pregnant like this? I concluded that maybe, Austin just didn't know how. So, I decided to take matters into my own hands, and started secretly watching educational videos. For research purposes only, of course. Someone had to figure it out, right? 10. One night, he came home late from a business dinner, and this time, he actually smelled like alcohol. Austin, the man who could drink a whole bar under the table, looked tipsy. Jasper, he said, leaning against the wall, fingers tugging his tie loose. His gaze locked on me, hot, dark, and dangerous. My inner alarm blared. You're drunk. I'll get you some honey water. I turned to run, but he caught my wrist and pulled me straight into his chest. The scent of cedar mixed with whiskey, rich, heady, and impossible to escape. Don't go, he murmured, his voice low and rough. He nuzzled against my neck, breath burning my skin. Austin, get a grip. I tried to push him away, heart pounding. I wasn't ready. I hadn't even finished my research videos yet, but he held me tighter. His lips brushed the back of my neck, right where a beta scent gland was supposed to be, though mine was barely there. Still, he treated me like I was an omega. His teeth grazed lightly over the spot, sending a shiver through my entire body. My knees went weak. Stop, my voice trembled, almost breaking. He froze. Then, as if something inside him snapped, he bit down, gently, but enough to make me gasp. A flash of sharp pain, and then a strange, overwhelming rush, like being claimed. I went rigid, mind blank. Did he just mark me a beta? When it was over, he slumped against my shoulder, breathing heavily, his voice hoarse and filled with regret. I'm sorry, I lost control. My hand touched my neck. It was warm, damp, still tingling. My thoughts were a tangled mess. Then my phone rang sharply. It was my dad. Get back here, now. Family meeting. Panic surged. I helped Austin onto the couch, made sure he was stable, and practically fled the apartment still filled with his scent. Back at the villa, the air was thick with tension. Besides my brothers, there were 20 new faces. Men and women, all sharp-eyed, confident, all with faint traces of my father's features, the illegitimate ones. The first wave had arrived. My father sat at the head of the table, face dark as a storm. His gaze swept over us, the 3 legitimate sons, then over the newcomers. The plans changed, he said, his voice cold and final. You have 6 months. 6 months to prove there's an heir on the way. A pregnancy report, something real. Whoever succeeds wins it all. The rest, get out. 6 months. Half the time we originally had. My eldest brother's face turned gray. My younger brother's eyes went red. The illegitimate ones exchanged eager looks, ready to pounce. My stomach dropped. 6 months. And betas like me could barely get pregnant in years. I touched the back of my neck. It still felt warm. Still carried the ghost of Austin's breath. A mess of panic, confusion, and something I didn't want to name, swirled inside me. Because that bite, that mark, had left more than a trace of pain. It had left a strange, quiet need. Austin. He was the only one who could help me now. The air froze solid. After my father dropped that 6-month bomb, he sat back and watched us. Like a hunter waiting for the trapped beasts to fight each other. Those so-called siblings he'd gathered from all over. Their eyes were sharp, greedy, full of calculation. Every glance at us 3 legitimate sons felt like an appraisal, a test to see who would fall first. My older brother Landon was the first to react. He let out a cold laugh, a trace of his pheromone leaking out. Sharp, suffocating. The few illegitimate sons standing close to him turned pale instantly. 6 months, he said, his voice full of contempt. He swept a cold gaze across the room. More than enough. Then he turned and left without sparing me or our younger brother a glance. That was Landon, an alpha among alphas, too proud to ever show weakness. He'd find an omega, for sure, even if it meant doing it for nothing but power and inheritance. My little brother Brooks, though, his eyes filled with tears, his voice trembling. What do we do now? He clutched the arm of his bodyguard, an omega who had always protected him. The guard's expression was stiff, cautious. Already on edge as he faced the crowd. Their love, pure, idealistic, was now standing against the harshest reality imaginable. And me, I couldn't even move. My hands were freezing. 6 months. 6 months for a beta like me to get pregnant. That was practically a death sentence. Then a guy in a flashy pink shirt swaggered up, looking me up and down like I was a product on display. Well, so this is the beta brother? He chuckled, not bad looking, but too bad you're a beta. Hard to breed, ha. Laughter rippled through the group behind him. I clenched my fists, nails digging deep into my palms, but I couldn't argue, because he wasn't wrong. In this world ruled by alphas and omegas, a beta like me sat at the bottom of the chain. Just then, a familiar scent cut through the air. Cool, steady, powerful. Cedar. Austin. His pheromones swept through the room like a silent storm, crushing every trace of mockery. The laughter died instantly. Even my father's eyes flickered with unease. Austin walked in, tall and sharp in a black tailored suit. His gold-rimmed glasses caught the light, but behind them, his gaze was cold as steel. He didn't even look at anyone else. He came straight to me, and without hesitation, his hands settled firmly on the small of my back, a gesture that screamed mine. Through my shirt, I could almost feel the faint burn where his teeth had marked me last night. You okay? He asked quietly. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone in the room heard it. I shook my head, my throat tight. In that moment of chaos and humiliation, he was the only thing that kept me from falling apart. Brother-in-law, my father snapped, frowning. What do you think you're doing? This is our family matter. Austin lifted his gaze slowly. His tone was calm, but there was no mistaking the warning in it. Your family matter is my matter, he said evenly. You know that. Jasper has always been mine. No one dared interrupt. He tightened his arm around me and turned to leave. As we passed the guy in the pink shirt, Austin paused, his icy gaze slicing through him. Watch your mouth, he said softly, or I'll help you shut it. The man blanched, stepping back without a word. Once outside, I finally exhaled. Only then did I realize my palms were soaked in cold sweat. Scared? Austin asked, starting the car. A little, I admitted, rubbing my neck. It still feels strange here. His eyes darkened for a second. Temporary mark, he explained. Betas don't feel it as strongly, but it still makes you instinctively respond to my pheromones, especially when you're emotionally unstable. So that's why. The moment he walked in, I felt safe. It was the mark. I frowned, lost in thought. 6 months, Austin, do you really think we can pull this off? He stopped at a red light, then turned toward me. Under the faint glow of the traffic light, his eyes behind the glasses looked different. Not calm, not detached. Something deeper, something that burned. Jasper, he said slowly, remember this. From now on, only I can help you. He leaned closer, his fingers brushing the mark at my neck. A shiver ran through me. And I will, he whispered, with everything I've got. From now on, trust me completely. The rest, leave to me. The light turned green. He looked forward again and drove off smoothly, but my heart wouldn't calm down. Those words, only I can help you, combined with the memory of his teeth sinking into my skin that night, the way he said mine without saying it, a thought crept into my mind. Austin, was he really just trying to help me? 12. Something about Austin had changed. Ever since that night, since he marked me, his help had taken on a strange rhythm, a mix of urgency and restraint. It was like he was following some careful, secret plan. Yet every now and then, I'd catch him staring at me, his eyes full of emotions I couldn't name, a tangle of pain, longing, and something dangerously deep. This wasn't the calm, controlled Austin I knew. It wasn't the unshakable uncle I'd always relied on. The questions clawed at me until I couldn't ignore them. So one afternoon, when he was at the company, I slipped into his study. The room was spotless, almost sterile, too neat, too perfect. It didn't look lived in at all. I started searching. If there was a reason behind his strange behavior, it had to be here. At the bottom, one old wooden drawer was stuck. I pulled hard, and an iron box tumbled out, landing with a dull clank. When I opened it, I froze. It wasn't business documents inside. It was my stuff. My first elementary school award, carefully flattened out. A crooked ring I once wove for him out of grass, now dried and yellowed. A thick pile of drawings, 2 little stick figures holding hands, and on every single one, the same childish scrawl. Me and Uncle, together forever. Then there were photos, dozens of them, some candid, some blurred, but all of me, every moment of my growing up, all quietly recorded through his lens. On the back of each photo, his handwriting, sharp, restrained, but brimming with loneliness. He smiled at me today. He's the only one who doesn't avoid me. Light. At the very bottom lay a leather-bound diary, and an old medical report. Emotional recognition disorder, potential antisocial tendencies, explosive temper, hyperandrogenic traits. Recommendation, isolation and monitoring. The date was right after he'd been adopted by my grandfather. My hands shook as I opened the diary. March 2nd, they say I'm sick. Why do people cry? Why do they laugh? I don't understand. April 5th, everyone's scared of me, except that tiny kid. Why does he keep following me? June 10th, he fell down. My chest hurt. It felt weird. I picked him up and put medicine on him. He cried and said, "Uncle's the best." What does best mean? July 11th, he shared his favorite candy with me. Sweet. I think I like that taste. August 20th, his parents ignore him, like mine did. We're the same. September 2nd, I want to hide him, so only I can see him. Is that love? If it is, then I'm probably hopelessly sick. October 11th, I have to be strong, so I can protect him, so I can deserve him. November 12th, 108 illegitimate sons, my chance. I'll use my illness to gamble for a chance to have him. December 10th, I marked him. He's mine, completely mine. The final line was darker, written with heavy, trembling strokes. He is my cure, and my sin. My chest tightened. He wasn't born cold, he was sick. And all those years I thought I was the one leaning on him. It was him. He'd been clinging to the only warmth he ever had, me. The man everyone feared, the one the world had abandoned, had found his reason to live in someone invisible like me. My legs gave out. I slid to the floor, tears blurring everything. It wasn't fear. It was a deep, aching pain. Then I heard footsteps, fast, desperate. Austin burst into the study. His gaze fell on the open box, the scattered papers, and me. He froze. All the color drained from his face. For the first time, those calm, sharp eyes, filled with raw panic. He saw the medical report in my hand. No, it's not what you think. His voice was hoarse, trembling. He took a step back, like the air itself had turned to glass around him. Jasper, he couldn't even form a full sentence. I never wanted to hurt you. Don't be scared of me. He shut his eyes. His shoulders trembled, like a man waiting for the world to end. Something in me broke. I stood up, and instead of stepping back, I walked straight to him. His eyes widened as I wrapped my arms around him. Uncle, my voice cracked. Then I corrected myself, tears spilling. No, Austin, you idiot. He stiffened, stunned. What does it matter if you're sick? What does it matter if people are scared of you? I lifted my head to look at him through blurred eyes. I'm not. I've never been afraid of you. When I followed you as a kid, it wasn't because you were my uncle. It was because you were Austin, the one who told me stories, the one who watched stars with me, the one who never made me feel like I didn't matter. I picked up one of those old drawings, 2 stick figures holding hands. See, in my heart, we've always been together. You're not my shadow. You're my throat closed up, the only one who ever saw me when no one else did. Austin just stared at me, at my tears, at my voice that carried no pity, no fear, and in that gaze, the wall of ice behind his eyes finally began to crack. He slowly raised a hand, hesitant, trembling, and pulled me into his arms. His grip tightened bit by bit, until I could feel his heartbeat pounding against mine. He buried his face in my neck, and I felt something hot soak through my skin. Tears. The man the world called a monster, the man who supposedly couldn't feel, was crying in my arms, like a lost child, who had finally found his way home. Jasper, he whispered, his voice raw, breaking apart. Thank you. I was so scared you'd hate me, that you'd leave me. His words trailed off, dissolving into the quiet space between us, where, for the first time, he finally let himself be human. 13. The wall of ice that had always stood between Austin and the world completely melted that afternoon, the moment I learned everything. He was still the same composed, untouchable businessman to everyone else, but I could see the difference. The caution in his gaze was gone. What replaced it was quiet trust, complete belonging. He didn't just help me anymore. He was learning, slowly and clumsily, how to love me. He'd watch TV dramas and imitate what the male leads did, showing up after work with a bouquet, expression blank but ears flushed red. When I got hungry in the middle of the night, he'd silently walk into the kitchen and cook a simple bowl of noodles, then sit across from me, watching until I finished eating. He even started writing again. Not the dark, lonely diary from before, but fragments of light. Jasper ate half a bowl more today. He fell asleep on the couch, curled up like a cat. He said, "Austin, hold me. I want to give him the whole world." We still worked toward our 6-month goal, but now it wasn't some cold arrangement. It felt like a shared dream, full of warmth and hope. He still used his pheromones to soothe me, but no longer with that heavy, possessive force. It felt like sunlight, wrapping around me gently, until the day I stood in the grand living room of my family estate, holding a clear pregnancy report in my hand. My father, my brothers, and the dozens of illegitimate sons, all stared at me in shock. My father glanced down at the report, his eyes unreadable. "You've won, Jasper." His voice was weary but firm. "As promised, you are the sole heir." The others exploded. "That's not fair. He's a beta. How do we even know the child is his?" Austin stepped forward. He didn't even need to release his pheromones. Just one cold look silenced the room. "Do you need a paternity test?" His tone was calm, but the pressure in his words made the air tremble. "Or should I remind you that my company's market value has already surpassed all of yours combined?" The room went dead silent. I looked at his tall, steady back, and for the first time, I felt powerful. I stepped forward to stand beside him, meeting my father's eyes. "Dad, you set the rule. I completed it. The company should be mine. If not," I smiled slightly, "I don't mind letting Austin buy it outright." Gasps filled the room. Even Austin turned to look at me, surprised. I met his gaze, squeezed his hand. "It's mine," I said quietly. "Because I wanted it, I earned it. So it belongs to me. Extra, my body, his shield." Austin had been trying to lower the dose of one of his medications. The doctor said he was doing better, stable enough to test small adjustments. We were hopeful, too hopeful, maybe. That night, we were watching an old movie. Nothing unusual, until a sudden domestic violence scene flashed on screen. A husband slapped his wife. A common TV trope. But beside me, Austin's body went rigid. I turned to him. His eyes had gone blank. Not calm, not gentle, empty, cold. His hands clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. "Austin," I called softly, reaching toward him. Just as my fingers brushed his sleeve, he moved. A sudden violent swing, fast, sharp, aimed right at my face. I froze, breath caught. The strike came with terrifying force, but at the last second, pain flashed through his eyes. That hand stopped midair, then turned. Crack! The sound echoed through the room. He had struck himself. His head whipped to the side, cheek already swelling, blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. My heart stopped. He stared at his trembling hand, horror spreading across his face. "I can't hurt. I'm a monster." He raised his hand again, this time toward his own head. I lunged forward, wrapping my arms around him with all my strength. My face pressed to his shaking back. "Austin, stop!" I cried. "I'm fine. Look at me, I'm fine." He struggled, muscles straining like a caged animal. His elbow hit my forehead, pain flared, but I held on tighter. "Let go," he shouted, voice raw. "I'll hurt you. Let me go." "No," I sobbed. "Hitting yourself hurts me more than anything you could ever do." He froze. I took the chance to move in front of him, grabbed his face in both hands, forcing him to meet my eyes. "Look at me, Austin. I'm fine. See?" I pointed to my unmarked cheek. "You stopped. You controlled it." His bloodshot eyes locked on my face, searching. Then his gaze dropped. to the small bruise on my forehead from his elbow. His pupils shrank. He tried to pull away. I still hurt you, he whispered, voice breaking. This? I caught his hand, pressed it gently against the bruise. This isn't a wound. It's proof. He blinked, confused. Proof that I protected the person I love most. Proof that you fought back and won. His whole body trembled. The wildness in his eyes faded, replaced by something raw and fragile. He touched the bruise with trembling fingers, then lowered his forehead against mine. Warm tears slid down onto my skin. I'm sorry, he choked out. I'm so sorry, Jasper. I wrapped my arms around him, patting his back the way he'd done for me countless times before. It's okay, I whispered. It's okay, Austin. That night, he held me tightly as he fell asleep, like a lost child clinging to the only light left in his world. Just before drifting off, I heard him murmur faintly against my ear, if I ever lose control again, tie me up. I smiled through the ache in my chest, kissed the bruised side of his face softly. There won't be a next time, I said. I'll hold you, always.